Good morning.
Good morning.
Na ebom ti say pay.
Na me adom bibia boko na onso e.
Ah, you come kakra adom enkwan so abai de na nim say ye kono kakra. Na dwuma mu ti say.
Na me adaroma eguso.
Ekoyi.
Na me adom bibia ekoso. Am me ka say amamuo eye process enye event enti no abribia no oye kakra na watwa hwe wachi say de na ekoso bibi wo ho ebetima sachre mu bibi wo ho no ma pepam ye betimi aya aka ho ama Ghana adehye ani age ombenya ahoto ne abotoye mu ana nti ye de abribia nya de a amamu a president na adoda nkwakufu ado eda ya nya bra ye home so kra abribia ye guso ayeye nkakra
Me yonko bi tai e ka kire me say this would be the worst time to be a minister of information. Would he be right?
Oh, not necessarily. Sabi, ye adwuma na ya by appointment. Ye frewa, so we had the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. And you say the test of true leadership is not in real times, it's in crisis. How do you manage crisis? Only separate leaders from managers. And you know, in the face of global crisis, ye adwuma no adoso. As I say, yeah, in church, mu bebre. Now here Ghana hands ye were one of the most robust media setup in the whole of Africa, and West Africa, because so far some of our neighboring countries are, member lines is in excess of 700. Even broadcast institutions, all Nigeria, look at their population is about 640. Oko NCA, ye issue authorizations brosa for broadcasting.
But is it a matter of the number of media houses or is the quality of the content that the media houses churn out?
So when we say obia won the market share, enti no one hwe year de bia out station ba ko bi unko baby foforo. But obi nso tie until wonka eno no ma vacuum bi beda ho. Na say vacuum beda ho nso so asay so omoka bi hyem enti ne ezo bi bedi outros abosire moka na no ne yesi misinformation and disinformation because there is a vacuum and so over 490 active radio and TV stations are anapato anadu bi ayasasi so a enye adwuma nipa mienu pe ebetimaye enti abribia ye yafamu dia yesanso so sre party communicators aya yesre Ghana for na ewo hu na ese odi hu adanse because ye patro empa bosimuka na emom bia wo mpotemu aban aye bibi wani je hu ka na nkofo nte se waye bi wa benefit from aban social protection programs ni bi ka na ehu se aban aye bi wani ehu ya beye kwan ebia o bebia na ote na kwan ni ho ese ya beye kwan ato ho ka na nkofo hu se kane no na bia me freje so kodwaben a na mo ndwuma nka bia na me fam enne ya ye kota ankasa ya asphalt so o aban na ye bi so bia na me free dwaben na me konto nso a na me fa abomu kwan ho no na ye mfuturu enne ye de chipensa gu so okwa akwan ne da so a obi ekomirika because nya ye na ebetima aka ni nyina na nso so ese ye ya famudie enti no se wo country bi a ye wo media houses bebrate send your Ghana hana aya na managing PR and that form because we have other West African countries a bit to say we have Guinea Conakry only 8 media houses including state owned media or we have baby to say Nigeria 15 media houses countries need be crying need that much then so by there na stakes no different entia na yesra afofo obi wo no ma bi o yensentroni ye de yen ka se bedi ntroma ye na emom sa asem no ba na wo ka jebre ne pe obi a wo hu nim de na je ono nso so adwene wo ka bone na waka papa na ye balanced conversation na emom se ba ne se abribia yesi ene choka na obi e ka na ebehuru nkrofo akoma adodo na ebi okra na ya atrosem ba no aka na trasa nti eno na aya ye strength central for say adwuma no the right to information here right to be informed rightly. And yes, right to say we try and track will be disinformation. Okokuku story be obi kra ko be a ebi akọ pictures be o mu try in some mining communities 2015 2017 no akotwa no de aba say eye enne de no wo twa kire o nanso so de be ma Google no na akwa for the same picture na ba say there be picture we was first published in this year sabi enya Ghana ni bi a wo wa bedi sa atro na kire no na obenya akwanya na na so wo data na na se nimde no so okohwe akire se eye no kre se wan kasa na wo si fom ekotwa asamfonyin ne ba ya na enti abribia no na enkrofire confused asuni ekoso but continuously ya said as abayana musifo anase obi a kasa ma aban no esese e maye na ye ntientia at the various media houses at least so obi bana ne obeka no enye sa neti a yenso so ye there is on record for people to compare with the facts on the ground.
Yo, yambra issues no anopay. And a 30th, and a deadline for a SIM cards, one more register. Government decision is saying.
Okay. Near the kind of minimum say by close of today, now Ministry of Communication, now on next steps, way forward, Abba. I won't take the wind out of their sail. And can't no more be person or more can I say, and asema or more the baby to abonte, mean to me, and Jim Free Minister Nanonka. But all that I would like to say is say, SIM registration exercise no, a dear who here can't prem who say fraud. I bear fontaine time buy no, the chrono for frobi naba. Obi momo so ni area no, obi internet so ni area no, ye obi mfoni, ye obi sika free na account so mo, nene ye keka ho. Obi kra akwaje quick loan no simintua no what the check na akwakoto atwene enye no pe obi akwakodi bone wo fie ne aka ohwa ne opuno so mu ne fingerprints ye ni national database sa fingerprint no ena o de ko na omukọ chinipa na de akọ compare hu se asemesi ana obente na di sa dream na odi bone enti say enti no the primary thing in as exercise in ho abehia is security considerations. Ye West Africa sub-region emunyo ye. Enam kudita entokwa nkonwa ntokwa ne nkeka ho nti. So say there is a mass exodus happening and crofo movie to Ghana. Ebi a woten kran ha nko a wu. Obe woten kran ha kra obehu. Obe border towns no cry it is west. Edru mrebi nam police headquarters anima enkwala abatan ayarefo apemfo omuni bebi omuko me say o the traffic ma aduane ehye wanum kura obeka se roll down e fama no no nibi na emom senya nyame bo obi asu no uhu nkrofo no omonye Ghanafo abehu so omonye Ghanafo in recent time na say Ministry of Foreign Affairs omoye nhyehyɛ ne repatriate nkrofo to Mali ene Nigeria na ameboa ese eche obibi senka ho adwo na oti ne fie ye nukua na so odidwa on sori nsesa ne man toto fefe wa megu ha ye sub region no enye safe Ghana pe ene we little spotlight of safety into obi e ba say aba abedwen no in the face of that no and what be here so we Ghana there are more people who have mobile phones than bank accounts opa dia ebeboa with identification easier that is the way to go and see among all the considerations say be betima identify nkrofo offenders a omo use so abe fontaine town omo use so omo sim any ade frefre nkrofo bo apo no na ehu be hia say re-registration no ebekoso because on himself from 2010 almost tried to do the registration of SIM card na enam say technology no mu use na enya papa nti obi de the nickname na ye fingerprinting ka ho obehwe ye say ama AQ na bra wakoje data na ama AQ na woso ahe na wakohwe.
It's interesting say you describe the previous registration as the way you described it, but I spoke to Otebia Nauti, the former CEO for the NIA, and he makes the case that even the recent registration here with the NIA, you know, its database almost a use, you know, it is sourcing from that data they collected in the past. That data was not thrown away. What was thrown away were the cards that were issued, but the data is intact, which is being utilized.
What the point I'm trying to make is that asema okanyana ko NIA ne Nebis almost said the data they captured, what was there already no. Na what the kind of features or make my movie to say a chip embedded IDs near you issue my
Well, if
Ube say and sufficient, so that is why they had to do it again. I did some in 2007. I had to do it again recently.
What do you mean by sufficient in terms of data collection? Because the only addition is the addition of the iris, I believe, and then instead of the 8 fingerprint, the addition of the thumbprint, I believe, to make it 10.
So I am saying, sir, what was existent wasn't fit for purpose for this kind of capture.
Really?
It wasn't.
Because if you go to the banks to go and do a transaction in the bank, I think say the information they collect from you, I think is your index finger that you put on it.
Index finger that you put on it. For instance, I'm saying say what we are doing in the consideration number 1 is security consideration.
Indeed.
Of course, we are moving towards digitalization. I'm trying to merge this same conversation together with NIA conversation, and I don't want it to look clumsy. But because of what the comment that you've made just now will give me the opportunity to elaborate. Say, the kind of database that the NIA wants to keep, it's not just for the purpose of SIM registration, it's for other things. And the NIA has come out to inform us that it is a continuous process. That is why they've taken the pain to set up district offices. And as and when it is necessary for them to do mass mobilization to whip up the numbers, they go to work, their premises at Golf House, among other places, to collect the data. So Obikacha will say NIA didn't need to collect new data or didn't need new technology for this kind of mobilization.
Well, hold on a second, for because still, speaking to Mr. William Ahaji the other day, he made the point that indeed, they had factored in the possibility of an upgrade of the software they were using previously. It was factored in the contractual agreements they had signed. And so they knew that technology advances, and he makes the case that even 10 years from now, the database that we are using, the technology will advance so much so that Ghana would have to up its software that is using for the collection of data. And so technology advances, and then we move on. And so that had been envisaged in the past.
Let me tell you one thing. The attempts by their team to put together a national database was a failure. How many cards were issued?
He says.
Was it how many?
He says that they registered close to 16 million.
That's a lie.
People.
You were in Ghana. You were you know. Sometimes when people come and make some. Come and throw some figures around, we have the responsibility to subject them to strict proof. In the face of the 17 million that the NIA currently have mobilized, look at the number of queues that resulted in that 17 million. Look at the number of mop-up exercises that have resulted in 17 million. Look at the number of NIA Ghana cards that you see in town, in people's wallets.
Is it not because of the primary documents that is being required that is making the process slow?
No, not at all. It's not even the slow process. I'm saying that previously, if you know of a period between 2009 and 2017 January, where they were even doing mass registration to amount to this 16 million, tell me. I don't know if you know of any period that such mobilization happened. But that was in Ghana. I didn't see such an exercise. In fact, they cannot even show that they were able to even issue even 5 million cards. It is not true. And I am not talking about what I am saying or what he is saying. Go out there and ask Ghanaians in the public space if they saw such mass registration exercise. It didn't happen. And it didn't happen because you are talking about an upgrade. You were not able to collect the primary data. How are you now able to do an upgrade of that primary data if that 16 million data is non-existent? That being said, is he trying to say that the upgrade to add even the index finger or the iris will not lead to forming queues, will not lead to long queues. Is that what they are saying? That people will not have to go back to NIA to form queues or go back to registration center to form queues for us to witness some of these skirmishes that are happening. That is not true. They didn't register any 16 million. And with the benefit of the RTI, you can just walk to NIA and ask them to give you data on the number of registrations that they had as at January 2017. Now, and the point that I am trying to make is that the exercise is inconveniencing, it's a fact, of course. But no exercise or no process leading to building a nation doesn't come with inconvenience. We didn't have the data to start with.
Okay.
Now we want to build upon that. And what we have, even Nigeria doesn't have. Not all African countries or West African countries have the SIM embedded ID card. Nigeria, they are also doing their registration exercise. They are doing their ID now. But what I'm trying to say is that what they are doing is national ID, but it doesn't have the digital features that we have for our national ID. And let's compare this to even one of the processes we had previously. About 5 years ago, SNET, they migrated from, just the manual form and ID to also the digitalized ID. All of us who were working previously had to go to SNET to do re-registration. And because they were able to do that re-registration for like a period of 5 years now, and got good data, when they wanted to migrate and use the NIA system, all they had to do was synchronization. I moderated a press briefing where the SNET boss and also the NIA boss were there. That, in fact, in course of doing your NIA registration, if you have shown any of your ID cards with your SNET card and it was swiped, that is it. They are able to migrate you automatically without you having to do the shortcut.
That point brings us to...
But I am saying that the earlier SIM registration was flawed. It had a lot of inefficiencies. You couldn't have used that for any modernized data collection.
Interesting.
So there was a need to do it again, and this time around we had to get it right.
So staying on the SIM card registration exercise, the point you made about SNET, a very critical question as to why there's an NIA database, and yet the Ministry of Communications, the NCA, decided to collect data of Ghanaians again. Let
me tell you one thing. For instance, the information that the MNOs have, like MTN, like Airtel, Tigo, and all, the information that the MNOs have, because of our constitutional provision on privacy, Article 18.2, you have privacy to your property, communication, and correspondence, and which is a fundamental human right in Ghana, guaranteed under our constitution, which has been reflected in any other act, including the act that the NCA is operating under, to make sure that we do not breach on your privacy. It is not every information that the telcos or MNOs have that ends up at NCA. That being said, with the SIM registration, it's not just about government. There is also private sector participation. When it had to do with the national ID card and it had to do with government, they could plan and roll out in such a way that, the cost that is being incurred on government has to do with just social considerations. This is the situation whereby you are working with MNOs who are private companies, and then you say we want to do registration, and we want it within this period because we don't have to cause all these telcos to incur excess costs to say in 5 years they have to employ additional staff at their cost to be able to embark on a registration exercise. Are you getting the point?
I'm a bit lost.
Okay, let me explain to you why you are lost. When we had to do the SIM re-registration, and we had to, we can't do it on our own, because I'm saying that all the data they have on you, on me, because of the laws on privacy, they cannot give that to government. So it had to be said that they are collecting it. But at least when you have an issue that is bordering on fraud, and you were able to go to court to get a court order to trace an account detail or something, then you can go to them for them to issue
the
such an
argument you are
information.
making that the data that the telcos have of us, the government has much more detailed data of Ghanaians more than the telcos, and yet we trust them enough to keep that data safe. And yet when it comes to registration of SIM cards, we can't trust the telcos who have data which has to do with my name, maybe my house address, hasn't got my fingerprint information, hasn't got my iris. We would trust that and not that of government?
No. That's not what I'm saying. Let me explain to you. Let me use this scenario. For instance, you know the SIM registration exercise is in 2 parts. You do the first part, which is the short code. It's 401 star 401 hash. And then they will give you a number with which you will now go and do the facial recognition and also the fingerprints. In the past, if someone had done a registration, even if you are going to buy SIM traditionally on the streets, they will find a way to say, oh, give us your ID card for us to register for you.
Yeah.
But they don't take your fingerprints and then they don't do the facial recognition. Now, someone can do that face. It means someone, you can go to a vendor, buy a SIM card, use my ID card to register that SIM card and go home. It doesn't mean anything. On the SIM card, it is my name, but I am not the one using the SIM card. You are using it. That is why someone will commit momo fraud, and then you are able to, use legal means and all that to find out which number registered the number. And it's an old lady in some village somewhere who doesn't even know how to use maybe an Android or iOS phone. But the opportunity to do the second phase of the registration, which has to do with the facial recognition and the fingerprints, will now connect the phone to you. Because this time around, if you go to MTN or Vodafone or Airtel Tigo, that I'm buying a SIM, register for me, and they do the first step, the second step is said that you need your Ghana card. And when they get your Ghana card, they have to see your face and fingerprint and make sure it matches with who you said you are and what you said you are. To the extent that, in terms of liability, if the SIM or the phone, like if the SIM is used for any fraudulent activity, you cannot dissociate yourself from that. Because beyond what card you have presented or representation you've made to them, they also have your fingerprint and they have facial recognition. This is the next step. When the minister engaged the media, she said that they are even getting to a point where they will do what they call device registration, like what they have in UK and other parts. Said that if you steal my phone, because the phone has a unique number and it is registered on my Ghana card is on my SIM, is on my phone, you steal it, but you can't even use it in this country. So the kind of features and information that they require are said that even if you say government has database, so just take his ID card, let him do short code on his phone, and then say, okay, I have paired my ID card with government database. Yes, we have the database on the Ghana card sitting there. We have also marked it with your SIM with that Ghana card. But what shows that it was you who came to match it? So and I didn't take your SIM card to go to MTN to say, put this number on this person's Ghana card.
So I have my Ghana card. It has all my information. My address is there. My biometric information is there. My image is there. So government starts a re-registration exercise. I'm supposed to register with my telco. They have maybe a gadget. I walk in. My name is Samir Shen. This is my phone, and this is my Ghana card. I want to re-register. My number is so and so and so and so. I give my Ghana card to them. They scan it in their system. The system traces back to the NIA. NIA confirms that that's Samir Shen because my picture is there. My phone, they pay it. I'm gone. I'm out of the place.
Let me tell you the other
Why
thing.
should now I have to go and give the same information which is on my Ghana card, my address is on my Ghana card, my fingerprint is on my Ghana card, my image is on my Ghana card. Why should I go and give that again?
Because they also need that data.
No, they don't need that
They
data.
need it.
That data is with the Ghana card. That data is with the NIA, the same way SNIT. simply just had to plug into the systems of the NIA to regularize
I mentioned the laws on privacy. They need that data because now look, the electronic money issuers are doing quick loan. So you are telling me that if you come and just pay and go, listen, but they don't have any data with them, sitting with them, to be sure that that is you because you came and printed and showed your face, and you failed to pay, and they are seeking to prosecute you. Anytime, even if it has to do with 1,000 Ghana cedis, they need to go to court to get a court order and go to NIA to be able to retrieve that information. Is that what you are saying?
But the telcos can also release my information to any third party
that
just like that.
That is why it is important they have it. So a third party will take a court order and take it. Other than that, in terms of their operations, mind you, the operations of the telcos has expanded beyond just phone calls or even selling data.
Are we not simply, replicating an exercise which has been completed?
Not at all. The fact is that, fine, some people have also suggested that, know what, the registration could have waited until such a time that NIA is able to get all the data of all Ghanaians, irrespective of their age, before you go ahead and start this process. And what I am saying is that the fraudulent activities happening on the phones, the crimes that are being committed using electronic means are imminent. The impact of those crimes will not wait until such a time that NIA, which is not doing an event, but doing a process that is going to be in like perpetuity, as and when they have to upgrade software, they will do it. But successively, they are supposed to carry us on this digitalization agenda. So it is said that there is no rush to do it all of a sudden. But I'm saying the offenses that are being committed are imminent. The impact of those offenses are now. The offenses and the fraud that are happening are not waiting until such a time that everyone is done with such a process. So
let me ask this question.
That as and when people get their Ghana cards, they are able to, register, do the SIM re-registration, also afford them the opportunity to solve the problem whilst NIA is doing their continuous registration.
Let me ask this question then. You keep saying the NIA's registration exercise is not an event, but it's a process.
Yes.
How about the SIM registration exercise? Is it an event or is it a process?
It is a process that we need now. So what I'm saying is that I use the SNET registration as an example. Because they had already phased out the re-registration exercise over a long period, 3, 4, 5 years. It was said that when it was time to add their data or synchronize their data with what we have at NIA, you didn't hear anything, did you? I didn't hear anything. And also, mind you, the number of people who were on SNET database, we are talking about some 2.8 million people, okay, as compared to over 41 million SIM cards that we have in Ghana. So you won't hear anything with that. But this is a situation whereby the people who were selling SIMs and all that. See, people even got SIM cards that they didn't know that they were pre-registered before they were sold to them. Someone bought a SIM card, showed an ID card, registered it in my name.
I don't have an issue with that particular one.
My problem is
issue
that
as well,
the backlog, when it comes to what the MNOs are doing, it's said that you need an arrangement to do a massive registration exercise now. I may not be able to divulge all the information to cure this problem because, as I told you, the ministry itself
would come out.
Will come out. So I don't want to take the wind out of their sail and then go ahead to say everything that they want to say before their statement is out. But I'm saying that the backlog, imagine in 2010, if the same registrations that they were doing were said that they had the biodata, they had the fingerprint, they had the facial recognition and everything, and were able to do like a very watertight verification process. And ebeboa. Ama na anka yenya NIA or a lot of issuing ID cards because my catcher say so obi catcher say before 2017 we issue 16 million national ID card they are true. And I'm saying say RTI never call NIA wa ana momo ankasa nkyerɛw which publication in this country under the former government no mo kyerɛ say ya issue Ghana card to 16 million people enya no kre ohun bi sa ada
not issue not issue, but I think I wouldn't want to quote
even
him wrongly.
registration.
Yes.
Was there ever a publication in this country say NIA under NDC or my register 16 million Ghanaians? So it cannot be an afterthought and as a BB ayeku kiba.
Okay.
But me say Senka 2010, 2011, 2012 process no. Senanka ye ne papa mu and a registration no a year. And can na NIA Ghana card no so aba ye marry no. I don't think Senke best struggle so be answer through the process. But I'm saying that registration was done with people's AKAs and nicknames and a lot of mistakes. And they didn't do the matching. And today no or say a fear papa be mpacho ye the register SIM card.
I understand all those flaws that were in the old registration system with the telcos, no? But for want of time, because I realize
so all I'm saying is that there is an agency that is related to the SIM registration process. That is why they have to give timelines for us to get the mop-ups so that we get the numbers. And so far, so good.
Yeah, moving on to other issues. Galamsey fight. And one of the papers reported said the Minister of National Security had made the call, said we need to review or revise your strategy at the fighting Galamsey after the consultative dialogue. Me Martina Hanum, I requested for a report on the consultative dialogue, the outcome and the decision that government decided to take, because prior to the consultative dialogue, all the actions that are being taken, but for the speedboat, and all the actions were already being taken. What's the strategy for the fight against Galamsey, officially from government? Okay,
officially from government, the strategy is that government, first of all, is not against small-scale mining. And let us get that out of the way. We have a lot of mining districts, over 40 of them. Obu ohonoma for political dividend, okojina honoma, or say aban say, mo amuni be companies mono, ye mamon to form a goodie aban kasa. Government is not against small scale mining. What government is against is illegal small scale mining. The difference between small scale mining and illegal small scale mining, no, say me kamboma eye mienu. One, a regulation. And two, a distraction of the environment. Regulation in the same. Yes, Ghana, a woman send me a Gold Coast. Yes, assassin a rich. Sikakoko wa assassinum. Nanso so bra. Sanke a casa obian faso. No obian kofa champagne. No obian kofa excavator me tutua. Eni anka happy FM on kamodan yasi na anki ejuri aye peska kokowa. Nanso so sabi yana nanamu dwiri ni nyina ya kura anke anyeden ya meto yana nanamu dwiri ni nyina nkapum ne barekese dam ene dam ahodo aka enka nsuo ni ho ne a process bi am heden yanom yenso yese water is life. Enti regulation in the same regulation in the say wo ye Ghana de hye wo pese otu from agudi a minerals commission na chere say concession bi wa ha ana asase bi wa ha ebi ya me maame ana me nana no yebusua asase ana yakonwa asase yesusu say ska kokko wom ye pese etu mo mecheck coordinates no mo hwe baby e wo no eni forest mu ensensuo na mo maye akwanya no maye krata amfa ntoso na yenkotu yetu wie nso so a ye be make sure say asase no so ama yakwanya ye din wo krata mu ye say a minimum say samo ene say asase wa ha na anyesa entini ye betima yirew se konesa ye den ekosiesie asase no so na asem nye den emfa na asem nko because asase no o reclaim a ending fie mienu kra na asaye green acha mfie num na enua ye den asate ba so na emo kotu no anya hwe wo so a it takes between 50 to 100 years to restore the land to the state na a woman sana omukotu to form. Anti-regulation near one bit. The second one near distraction. Obi ohonoma wakoje krata. Okochire say me kwa tu your friend is saying fan sikakoko no akoko photo obetu ani no wadura ablekuma
na de na uti wani wabra ewo EPA for ewo wildlife for ewo minerals commission de na obeti wani ansa na ohu say o ma from jurisdiction
enne de wabisa question bi a megidi say esese nkansentro ni bi a ebisa enye bisa keke mu bisa e wa ha nanka mako the various districts minerals commission officer oho no mabisa na EPA officer oho no mabisa no district security committee asoja form police form MCDC no mabisa omo ahemfo oho wonim se wontimi nko obi asase so na nkofa ye friend say excavator and starting to asase bia ho na mamre na mane oho asase bi okra ye ntwadwan a wontimi mpo ana ye ngunsa wontimi mpo nkomfa onsa nkofa baabi ensase na de da ho senke ye nto asase nka duru baabi a na wasi omochia ana anya sa enso so asase bia wora enti e ba ne sen na in this fight yempre emma da ubona nya about your collective efforts na abribia president aban enti obi a wono ye wono hwena no na wote ho de bia no onim se nkontabuo bi ba wono wonka ho bi onka ho bi dia so befa no ho adi enkranfo na anya omo ntokwa no
mpanyimfo ya wobu wo modin wabo nananom din wabo regional dissect wabo mususu din wabo EP wabo they were all part of the consultative dialogue. Yes, and so your regional ones and so account. Now what I'm asking is, what was your commission to them post a year the dialogue?
And the commission of government. Omampenyi waka osimpi so waka o baby a. Eso no only any interest whatsoever in illegal small scale mining. Illegal mining.
No, she said member say be illegal.
No, make about
legal ones in Kwampuna.
Be legal ones into such charge no. Aja no one separation na make no. Obi kochina baby o say omampenyin say mamuntu for magudie. Omampenyin so ye against for magudie too. Or so ye against galamsey. No, muma interpret galamsey no to the people say galamsey means small scale mining, but that is not the case. Enti abribia no one nchechemu na waka obi abo. Omampenyin Honorable Samuel Abujinapo, almost so many interest you. Ain't in the charge na ye the amount as regulator no. Koko without fear or favor. That is the charge.
Are they failing? Because I see you here.
That is the charge.
The Honorable Minister
because
Makoto.
Makoto. Manso Dubia ne Atakrase driving almost 4 hours from Kumasi to go and see the place.
And the minister was shocked, according to Daily Graphic, at the level of devastation ECOSWAR in these areas. Why should the minister be shocked when the commission has been given all these individuals who were part of the consultative dialogue?
And I make about sense of ownership. And I make the can't say, and central the ubo and on panel discussion. The conversation about illegal mining, no, so politicized, say, about benso ayenka say yakufu adunenya, and anya sa. So who follow trends you know say or no say the presidency is on the line and to obey any sense of ownership say asase yensuo ne ye nananom de ma ye ni ye hwe ha na say ya ebeboye me say ye ko ye duru baby I was depressed.
Oh really?
And I could feel the pain of the minister edientia. Baby o hono mo ye galamsey no okwan ho and the next police barrier na 1 minute walk. Let me say about 100 years. A police for be 5 net to hono. Ye dri minister no stop obi so mo say enti ni omo ye enti mo te he enti mo hu ye. Omo say we need to mobilize and go there. It must not take the minister or the president to come from Accra to come and force you to go there. You have my responsibility in a political backing now. You are supposed to act.
So it tells me, sir, even the agents, from just the account you just given me, the police officers who are just a minute from them, they have a responsibility to ensure that it doesn't happen. No? They have not bought into the whole Galamsey fight thing.
Until we are doing sensitization to get the buy-in.
But should it take sensitization for an officer of the law to act?
Let me tell you something. There was a video in circulation about 3 or 4 days ago. Akokrabi, my name so one video ni bia. also on na de ne koko for so omuntutu ase ense no now no within 2 months when you 30,000 Ghana cedis sika ya na ko aye na ne botomu ma the sense of ownership any ho any self-centeredness menka me say pese me nkuminya na ade
pese me nkuminya
any didi preko eye media ye say na eye media I felt sad because me no te hey ye ni mu say enye possible not even in America so obi at the end of the month and every 2 months obenya 30,000 Ghana cedis which is 15,000 cedis a month and I don't earn that I don't know about you but akoye sikasem now people are cashing in obi ohonoma ni business ne say minto excavator minto champagne minfa nko han because we dey partial sika na eba preko otutu sesia ni obenya no ku adwuma mfa ma ne mfie num ana mfie nsia ne wo ka no enye ono no wo tie wo ye adwuma ne kata no no so ahu sika no afa kwoti kwan so apenkrofo mbebo ni chi doma manatu ananya sa
my sister
enti I am saying say
person bisa just a very critical one enti police for ne kan sa asem kire mu no with the substantive minister for lands natural resources what was said to the officer in charge of that post? What was said to him? What did the minister say? Or the police officer, the corporals or whoever, junior officers. What was said to them?
The charge that what he said to them is that emomu nyanhwe ha omu sense asena e kan nyina e kan su ayenom e kan say enti omu hu ne say adwuma na ye de o ma ba ha say so omu meye no even if they are within like I suspect say they are from the district or they are like corporal na
senior chief inspector bia na say bia
bibi say ni because ye bisa ya na e person ke yenye complain but the thing is that if the charge is only from here but you don't appeal to their conscience and appeal to their nature to know say ade say ye nyina enti wo bobi echi no na wo tu ebufu na wo krokro bi so that omo beti ne wo pa kire na se a sikasemba mu abra enko obi sabi entam ne doba na say ne ma meeting fa nkoje are you getting what I'm saying?
I get it but
because of that no entina you were asking about government strategy strategy is best a 5 na ban roll out in the fight and America no a long process because the car is involved.
To be honest, I am utterly surprised that the enforcers of the law have not bought into the fight against galamsey.
I won't say that. That is a general statement. I can limit my remarks to only the 4 people that we met there.
Yes.
Because we also went to some other part. Now, military for more honomans, or free central command. No, ma pam a whole concession. It is a chromuya, a hectares, men cast even acres. A chromuya, or ma pam more arch excavators by say 11. New man decommission or ma to 2 engine ashibi or ho. Ama ma says a near money be ho, met me a pam. Even if it's for a period of crowd, they have saved some aspect of the land. See, me no overgeneralization and say law enforcers no. I say so more friend is saying assassin who bind they are not doing it. But you have to appeal to their conscience for them to understand. Say who hanko dia men dream say we ne say ya e kan bind pe. Sounds so na minim say consultative dialogue ya okay any subsequent engagement including ananom tena konwa including other ekuya omuye stakeholders ewo ekunum. When him said there was even a media coalition against galamsey. Almost so dede now we were getting the public buy-in. Enti no se wanya ade a obi abeje atum se enya okun no wo de asrafo beko. Wo de aposifo beko. Boso nsia na nsuo nani ate. And now say it takes a lot of resources to keep them on the ground. Won't mean ka say a sustainable say abrebia obeja soldier for in the community forever and ever. And now that's your position. But we are free if the people themselves don't have the sense of ownership, say yemo yensa se no ho ban yensiesie ye kuroi emiense nsu ya obre nyina be yekwa because e da mo beba be dru nkran na de be che no no ma side den akwa akodru ho enu nti na as part of government strategies no yeah, the small scale friends and community mining aba minim so what bia.
Oh, of course.
Asante Achem
honorable Alexander
yeah, wa baby a ebi nyandru ho. Me did say no say you call Manso Adubia. They were like some of the boys, omuni minister betwetwe nkomo. Sa minister ebi mu se niema. Ye nso so ye mu bi wo hono ma ye mpese ye be se niema. Enti no munya arrangement na community mining na amahyehyɛ ne ye de ne ndru ha nti na ebi mu da so wo galamsey no. Say ye de no dru ha say ya, we assure you na ehu se community mining no say ya asojafo ene aposifo mepam yen a na mo be kire ye ne yenye ama e go catcher na me aya ye be ye. And we were happy about that. And you know, the processes are ongoing to commission as many community mining programs in the various mining districts as possible. I mean, did you say what will be done?
Minim some more original database of how the fight is proceeding. 5 years on, can you tell me any particular regional river body you bet me say based upon the yadia to 200 over the past 4-5 years, we have been able to salvage this particular river?
You know, it's not just about the rivers, but let me start with the rivers. You know, people confuse the color of river to turbidity, which are two separate things.
True.
See, you want to turbidity, you want to turbidity. Even in the absence of galamsey, ube se nsuo no bebre kwa ninye edi entia gata hodo ne anwea ene I don't know if it makes sense.
Oh, it does.
Chain erosion ni ade ema even without galamsey ube se nsuo no bebre ni afi ye we pebremu ana the entwe saa ensufin ni ade ne ayi ni nkoguma hu se aye still na eni ate. By a turbidity is a different thing altogether. My understanding from what I have heard from the Deputy Minister in charge of lands and natural resources, Honorable Mrekuduka, and they say, Omuko tested turbidity, there is an improvement.
Which of these water bodies near
Even River Pra. Even River Pra. Omuko check it turbidity, and even the Tamu, which flows within the Ahafo region, parts of Ashanti region and all that. I didn't ask him to give me the list of river, but his answer was in response to River Pra. So I know that for a fact. Said they've been doing the testing. So I don't want the confusion whereby be a insuya to insuya near conclude say it's all mining activity. Now the second thing is that you mentioned the boats are abayato. Beyond the boats, they are training divers and wardens. Wouldn't need such skilled people, they can't even do the patrol. Are you getting it? The first set are about to pass out. Say ye kase. And to me did say we are passing out ceremony no mube hu minister ne mpanyin for a commission omo. And yes a river banks no 2 kilometer bia na dey ma one boat a omo ye patrol akoniaba. And no patrol na tuo ni akade ne ade ka ho a untimi mfa chamfan ye dey enkosi so. But the situation whereby you don't have that, acquired to say a periodic patrol, only people who are stationed there because you have to outsource personnel from other security agencies who also have their, primary commitment to a whole lot of things. I debo Ghana ho banya and sustainable. But they say omu training, omato boats na, omu training, omu bodies, river bodies owned by primarily because of illegal mining. But say it will go along. You will see a lot of improvement with that action. That being said, and I also mentioned the community mining scheme. So we odi kro and now your mine here. Ye be commissioner won see nine so. Esi on hene nan so. Near the ama krom hom mebunu maya ne mrantie so munye. Esi na nan so nti no. No so the community mining it comes with an office. Oko offices ni bi to such a compounds as in the communities. Ye ma complaints or ye reporting system or ye update, ye training, so that they will do the best practices. Because obi o hono ma mining no hu sesika wo onya ne nya ne china. Na emom kire no onye ne yie. So that is another thing. Then there is a third aspect of government strategies or model go form. Wonim say obi ohonoma o se omuja galam say na your community na dwedi ayede akofo mine no so na ma nkrofo so anema ntade nuane provisions free krokese mu kokko ho na ho ayede. So how do you sustain economic activity whilst you are resolving this issue of illegal small scale mining? That's effort to sustain economic activity into na binding a alternative livelihood program aban. Alternative livelihood program is different from community mining program. Ebi ohana microphone mo munim so ye ko twa concession mom, that's the alternative livelihood ebi. Alternative livelihood no omudi kan buy ya minim say some years ago they started training about 3,000 people. Subsequently omaye a lot of programs under Dr. Louisa Donko. What they've been doing is that ye more monsa anuduma ni dwetri any dwedi any other programs apart from mining. Obia senka onya adwuma foforo bi ye yanka ga say no nko onye bi ono one person obewu wo pitim into ono onya obefree map. Those people will get the opportunity to do the alternative livelihood program. Alternative livelihood program also na they are using one of the schemes which has support from international community near to do the reforestation.
All right. Yabeno Isha. I'll see the economy in Hong Kong briefly and sana yedi abayi but yenna ne ho na yembra yeba na afeni yaba economy Ghana IMF enkomo twetwe no ho okay yen twaso na yenin komo because I have been told say just some few minutes about let's say some 5-6 minutes yedi I was here the bo komono tofa Ghana for ebisa se na IMF no kwampa eni omudin sawoso no edin na yede to the table considering say the government's position on IMF in the past and we made a U-turn. The downgrades that have come from the rating agencies just recently were downgraded from ASCCC to ASCC. Government even before that had put in local measures to ensure that it boosts some confidence in the economy. You would have thought the rating agencies would see it reflecting, not to downgrade us, but we got downgraded again. What are we taking to the table? IMF conversation.
The domestic program. And I go to the table. Oko IMF I enko nsapan. Enti obi ade ne domestic program e de ko. No makosi nkonya. Atwetwe ahwese we ebeboa. Program na e de ko no. Based on 7 principles.
Okay.
Ebi ne say debt sustainability.
Debt sustainability.
Yes. Ebi nso so ne fiscal consolidation.
Okay.
Ebi nso so ne macro structural reforms. Ya kan about yes the structural reforms of our economy. Ya kan. Ebi nso so ne building strong financial institutions.
Okay.
And strengthening monetary and exchange rate policies. And the last one ne maintaining peace and security.
Okay.
For Ghana, ya kwa pro ye border wuro ye pay investments ye pay tourism ye pay we nyina e dey na be ma obi a choose Ghana over Nigeria e dey na be ma global citizen from South Africa man ko Nigeria on be Ghana security peace obi a se Ghana enyenye na emum otra Ghana border odru Togo no hu sem from no kra asesa. The reality is that it is not contested say we are investing so much in the peace and security of the state. Entina in the face of global pandemic na recruitment of police, recruitment of immigration officers so that they can patrol our borders. What we are doing right now, they say, government invested hugely in the fight against COVID. And the sad thing is that COVID members say now we're in the process of recovering from the banking sector reforms. We had a crisis in the banking sector. Government guaranteed that they were going to pay over 4 million depositors their monies. They started the payment in October 2019. The last tranche, the bulk, was announced by the Vice President of Ghana on 31st March 2020. Yeah, now see payment necessary hit Obia account or Munko Consolidated Bank Unko Scanana COVID lockdown started. So you would understand, say, The second term of President Akufo-Addo government started with a lot of problems that emanated from the global crisis. It's been a year and 9 months. And what have we done? I always tell people that now they have forgotten say Ghanaians went back to the polls to re-elect President Akufo-Addo in 2020, which was a vote of confidence in the way he managed the economy from 2017 to 2020, even in the face of COVID. Now your recovery program. In 2020, your economy is shrinking from economy and it grew at 7.1% to 0.8%. It was that bad. Obu ohonoma kan say big figures. Ekwo ye dey almost is just numbers. Enko ye dey I was saying enye numbers near berry. But the reality is that the macro indicators GDP na ekeka enye figures ekeo. Eye eto revenue mobilization ni bibia na ekeka bo mo mutiminya sa figures akese na and before this percentages neba. So the economy actually shrank. Ye kasa shrink na it is a thing. Say COVID buy ya tax cuts. Oh, hospitality for arts and entertainment, media houses, textile manufacturing companies, vehicular income tax, near tax holidays we bring. Na ye nsuo kwa, na electricity ye bi ni etibi so no. Saa sika ni nyina na nya say obi di bi fra mo no ne na de bre yo. Saa sika ni na che say sika nka aban beje de akoto futuo mu na enya mba. And afin so expenditure ni bi wo honom a kakra na e wo futuo mu no nso so no ye de koya enkenye a regular expenditure. That was done. Then e man besi say ye debt to GDP ratio no na o baby ankrofo ani nje ho. Omo se abobosia dodo. Ye ka no wosoro. Because even in the face of the pandemic, near the year of roots, near the second year of roots, near massive, unprecedented infrastructure projects. Mekacho will be say, I never knew say in my lifetime, Tamale will get an international airport terminal, but it is completed. They are waiting for the president to go and commission it to the public. Sunyani Airport, it was closed down in March 2016 because there were potholes on the runway Ankasa and all that. It has been completed. Passion Air has resumed commercial flights to Sunyani. The phase 2 of the Sunyani Airport redevelopment includes building a new terminal, which is ongoing. Kumasi Central Market, KJTR Market phase 2. Enra, I was flying over Kumasi, so happy to see that it is even partially roofed. It is like you can see that we are almost at the finishing line. Kumasi Airport, Edianaka, and a lot of massive infrastructure projects are na akamurema. In the face of pandemic, I make us say your revenue mobilization na top form. Even civil servants and public servants na ebi kwa na pani area. We kwa na ochuwe yes, me kwa na ochuwe. And a whole lot of things are affected. What happened? We needed to pick up your GDP growth rate from size 0.8 to pre-COVID eras. Yes, estimate to say nki drew baby to say even 5.4 and can near mamu be den e be sa sisi ye.
And no, me person kombone be ni too technical. Ye ni too technical na you know you use figures na manfo na ebre o money so. Yambra form. Na yambra the normal model core IMF I mentioned you know security okay home financial institutions almost strength you know the can home macroeconomic indicators, inflation, and the can home, the can home, debt sustainability, or the can home. You find one by one. The financial institutions are here, and what's what they call a year, the IMF. You just mentioned, sir, we have just come from a year, the banking sector cleanup. We spent huge sums of money in that project. Just 3 weeks ago or so, Fitch downgraded 3 local banks. What was their reasoning for the downgrade of these 3 local banks? EcoBank, GT Trust Bank, and I believe UBA also, from CCC to I think CC also. Their reasoning was that it was as a result of the exposure of these banks to a government, for want of a better word, programs from the government, bills, treasury bills, normal. So if we had gone through a similar phase, near Babidou situation where our banks are being downgraded as a result of a business or money government area. 3 days ago, there was a story as well, I think it was in the Business and Financial Times, where they were sounding at the alarm that some of our banks risks insolvency if we are not careful as a nation.
One and then sounded the alarm.
I think it was I don't remember who was sounding the alarm, but one of the papers reported about, no, it was Bright Simmons, I believe. It was Bright Simmons who was raising that alarm about the insolvency position.
And you believe that the banks risk insolvency?
Well, for instance, the Fitch downgrade of some of these banks too.
Downgrades happen. But let me remind you of something. Lest we forget, say, over 370 financial institutions, 150 of which were shut down years before President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo took office. But he was able to put in place said guarantees able to protect depositors seeker. So when it comes to putting the banks at risk, I want to assure you that President Akufo-Addo's administration is the last.
But they're already at risk. Some have been downgraded already.
I'm saying that downgrades happen. Even sovereigns, Ghana, we experience downgrades from President Kufuor time. But I'm saying, sir, it's a process. People get downgraded and get upgraded. And if you look at our history, we are in a difficult times. We are working on facilities. Have we not gotten the 750 million Afri-Exim Bank facility? We have received that. So that we'll be able to convert Ofanko interchange Ofanko all the way to Nsawam to a 10 lane. So na mwa who se contractors gukwano so be on nampukwas even ne nim said they are there working. We are pursuing the cocoa syndication loan. And anyasa, it's estimated in excess of $1.3 billion. And anyasa, we are also pursuing an IMF program with the assurances of IMF boss and even their communications director who did a press briefing a few days ago, giving us the assurance that the results of the program will be seen earlier than anticipated. DNSHO. All these revenues that are supposed to come in, with your foreign reserves and stability, a government should be enabled to, be able to honor its obligations to banks and all that. So these are temporary.
Let me stay on the 750 million loan you just mentioned. At the time, the headlines were screaming, says, "Can a parliament approve?" The thinking of many would have been that yen exchange rate now at the time they were around 10 point something to $1. After all of that, we would see, even with the arrest of some money exchange, the forex bureaus that have been closed down, and all those money guys who have been arrested, would have seen it translate when you go and you're looking for $1 to buy. But many, I believe, good opinion and I'm needing the figure has not declined that much, especially at the time when we are in the last quarter. They are now going to look for more dollars, which is going to put pressure on the system.
I'm happy you said the figure has not declined that much. When the market uncertainty came, it was a matter of days. It took us days to get the city to depreciate up to about 37% that we are experiencing now. Imagine the tangent that it was going if these interventions had not started coming in. You are saying it hasn't declined much. It is also telling you that it is that uncertainty and free fall, at least there is some level of stability that we can all admit.
But it's sustainability.
Thank you. That is most important. So it should tell you that if this is just 750 million, if the cocoa syndication comes in and IMF's 3 billion comes in, look at the impact and the drawdowns that we will get from there. Are you getting the point?
All right.
And let me tell you something. I wish we had more time because I cannot reiterate this point enough. Whatever America had to put in place in the face of this Russia-Ukraine war, and Russia trading in rubles and convincing other Asian giants to trade in rubles and gold. It said that the kind of measures that America put in place affected everybody, including the British pound. I don't know if you have been following stories.
Yes, the British pound
rate at which the pound has suffered this week, people are even calling for the head of the new prime minister and their chancellor.
Well,
if you go to places like, Lebanon, their currency has depreciated over 300% to the extent that Since 2019, you cannot withdraw your savings from your bank. Lebanon. So when we say global crisis, obiti baby, or some more Ghana hankwande bibi amosi COVID, Russia, Ukraine. It is because you have to be out there to see the reality. Say, but our responsibility as a government is to make sure we salvage the situation and restore stability to our financial sector, which government is committed to doing. And I remember already, if say government cuts did in March, 30% salary cuts and even expenditure. What was appropriated? And a whole lot. I wish we had more time for this conversation.
But my big sister, me do as no pay. Me do as no pay. But say how? Tuesday me and twice way.
Tuesday me wada interview, but we can do. Today is Friday.
Yeah.
I don't mind. We can do a week today.
A week today.